Now, along with the reports of indiscriminate massacres, there are concerns that relations between Christians and Muslims in Syria and the rest of the Middle East are rapidly deteriorating. In fact, Prince Charles spoke about this topic in London this week, telling a reception for Middle East Christians that we have now reached a crisis where bridges are rapidly being deliberately destroyed by those with a vested interest in doing so. We cannot ignore the fact that Christians in the Middle East are increasingly being deliberately targeted by fundamentalist Islamist militants. So what's behind this, and what effect might it have on the broader Middle East? For an answer to that, I'm joined by Ahmed Fathi, a Middle East analyst. Ahmed, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Sam. It's a pleasure to be back.
Christians and Muslims have lived side by side in parts of the Middle East for quite a long time. What is behind what Prince Charles refers to as the deliberate burning of bridges going on right now in the Middle East?
We have to take into consideration that from 2003 and the U.S. invasion to Iraq, the balance of powers and again the balance of inner countries' relationships have fallen apart. We have to recall that there was more than 1 million Iraqi Christians who have been forced out of their countries. Right now in Syria, we have a total population of 2 million Christians living there. And out of those 2 million population, about 45,000 have fled the country. About 18 months ago, there was the Bishop Rai of the Maronite Church in Lebanon, who is a supporter of the Assad regime. And he spoke very bluntly about the whole situation, that his biggest fear is to witness in Syria what have happened before in Iraq. So yes, I agree with His Royal Highness Prince Charles in his analogy that there is a deliberate action to bring down the relationships, the Muslim-Christians relationship, into another stage. This is very evident in Iraq, in Syria, and in Egypt as well.
So the U.S., it's been meddling in the Middle East for decades, and over the last decade, actively engaging in warfare in several countries in the Middle East. Are you saying that that exacerbates the problem of violence against Christians? Do extremists see these populations as extensions of the West, extensions of the United States?
No, it's not like that. It is perceived from the, I will call them the Mickey Mouse organizations, such as the Jama'ah Islamiyah or the Islamic State in the Iraq and the Levant, such as Al-Qaeda, such as the Salafi movements that's now mushroomed all over the Sunni world, across the Middle East. These all, while seemingly are independent, like seemingly they don't have a central command, in reality, they all act in sync. They have a very clear message. You just have to follow their rhetoric in the countries that they operate in, that they are anti-Christians, anti-Jews, anti-even Muslims who might be secular or who might be Shiites or who might be not agreeing 100% on their Salafite dogma.
Ahmed, what are the consequences of a Christian-free Syria, or more broadly, even a Christian-free Middle East, if this continues?
Well, now we have a Christian-free Iraq. If the Levant, which is referred to as Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine, if this is all have been emptied from the Christians, I will not overrule that the 10 million plus Christians in Egypt will also be next to follow. I will not overrule it that the Christians in Jordan also will follow. This is very sad. We are being captured as hostages by these Salafite movements. They seem to be separate, yet they are united.
What do you make of how the U.S. is responding to this issue, given the conflicting interests here? For example, in Syria, you have the Assad government, which has been friendly to the Christian communities, but the U.S. is opposed to the Assad government and instead favors the rebels, which we're now seeing factions of the rebels not being friendly to Christians. Can the U.S. even play a role in mitigating this problem?
Nobody understands what the U.S. game plan at this time in the Middle East. The U.S., for the first time in a very long time, are perceived in the Middle East, even by its strongest allies, such as Saudi Arabia and Egypt, as an unreliable partner. This is quite harsh. I have not heard such harsh criticism for the US government, probably since the height of the anti-American sentiments in Egypt and the Middle East in the 60s and the 70s. This is unheard of. The US, unfortunately, does not have a game plan. The US is dealing with the situation there in a very amateuristic, very inexperienced, and very shallow way in approaching the whole situation.
That was Middle East analyst Ahmed Fathi. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.